This particular episode is focused around, actually this one question has two elements to it. It was sent to me by a fellow publisher who didn't do research ahead of time, so didn't know I was a publisher, so asked actually a series of really cool questions to get engagement. And so I'll cover that. And then the second thing is the questions are great questions, so I'll answer those as well. So the question is, how do you use books for credibility? Which, of course, is a great question. All right, so here's what it says. You've written books. How do you use them as leverage for your credibility? Do you teach this to others? What was your biggest struggle with producing your books? How would you change your future experience based on your past? So, first of all, I would say a very, very elegant way in which to express a number of questions, one of those has got to be a pain point, right? If we didn't run a book publishing company, one or more of those has got to be a pain point that I would respond to. So I do like, as an outreach program, to actually outreach in such a way where you are producing content that people get a chance to respond to. And so I highly encourage you to do that. I just would recommend, and I've fallen prey to this as well, is try to craft a different question to other peers in your, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have conversation with peers. As a matter of fact, we did have a conversation and it was spectacular, although we haven't had a follow through yet. So that says something, but I really enjoyed the conversation and meeting. And part of being credible is to show respect by showing up when you show up. That means coming early, coming prepared, coming with your heart. So knowing who you're meeting with and researching them ahead of time versus coming up with an excuse why you didn't research them ahead of time. Not necessarily this particular example, but it's important that you, when you're going to spend the time of somebody else, that you show them respect. And there's so many different ways to do it. But first of all, thank you so much for the questions, because I love it. So here's the question I'll answer as well. And that question is, how do you use a book for credibility? So life has changed since I started as a book publisher. We've published over 750 books since 2005. And the democratization of book publishing is here. And so it is very easy for you to do anything you want. You could run a podcast. Take the excerpt from the podcast, have it automatically translated, put it into a Word document, get it formatted, print it on the Amazon platform, KDP, and voila, you're a published author. And you can do that. I'm not saying the quality of the content will be great, but if you want a book, that's one way to do it. And so what does a book do? It's like anything else. It's so funny. When I was doing the credibility interviews, I had a guy who he sells into and works with corporate. First time he came to the interview, no preparation whatsoever. And I said, hey, we just can't do this. You're not prepared. But here's what you have to do to be prepared. So he prepared for the second one, but came unshaven and in a cutoff t-shirt. Now, I've seen this guy present. I've never seen him look like that. And so I asked the question, is this how you would show up for your corporate clients? Because we're not producing something for me. We're producing something for you. Would you want them to see you this way? He said, oh, no, I'll come back. Just to be clear, he's never come back. So what does a book do for you? It is good to check the box. I've written a book. The question becomes, if somebody sees the book, if your prospect sees the book, will they be encouraged to take the next step? So there are many things you can do to get a book on the marketplace. And the question is it the book that you want that will bring you to the next level? And to me, that is what a book is about. A book represents that you've spent the time, whether you've done the work or hired somebody else to do the work with you, you spent the time and money. Everything in life is time and money. You spent the time and money focusing on a very specific topic. And that topic solves or addresses a pain point. And that pain point is the pain point that your prospects are going to gravitate to. And if you have a book that when they crack open the book, and even if they saw one and only one page and they looked at that page and they read through it and they go, oh yeah, this person knows the pain point I have, let me have that next conversation. Having a book is one of the best credibility tools you could have to have what's needed to then have that next conversation. Right? So how do you use a book for success? The best thing you can do, if you have somebody who's ghostwriting and creating a book for you, or even if you're in the middle of the process yourself, before you get to the end, before you publish and then run your Amazon campaign, you want to do all that stuff, and you want to make sure, when you're doing a book, there's a good content edit, there's a good layout, it looks good, it's clean, that you've eliminated as many, you won't do all, of the spelling mistakes and other things as humanly possible. And you want to make sure you have an Amazon bestseller. And there are definitely techniques and tools and approaches and people who could support you with that. And before any of that, when you get closer to the end, you should start compiling your list. Your list are the physical addresses of those prospects and those customers that you want to take your book and put it in their hands. Let's say you had a customer who just absolutely adores you and they have friends. Well, don't send them a book, send them 5, send them 10. Do a handwritten note and say, listen, I know you meet with your Vistage group or whatever group of people you meet with. Next time you come, why don't you give them all a copy of this book? Thank you so much for being one of our clients. We just so enjoy working with you. For those people that are prospects, there is no better tool. Maybe that's not true. This is a phenomenal tool to get past the gatekeeper, because people are going to open up the FedEx envelope that includes your handwritten note and a book, and they're going to read it. Not necessarily the book, but the handwritten note, yes. And the book, they'll crack open to a particular page, and let's go back to the previous thing. If that one page spoke to them, and that one page addressed the pain point. Now, one of the things you could do with some of the custom books and some of the custom publishers that are out there is one of the things that we do. You can create a customized page 1, so the first page when you crack it open for each and every one of those prospects you send it to. A little bit more painful, teeny bit more money, but it's kind of an interesting thing because now you have a customer, when they open up the book, and you could put in a little sticky pad that says, go here or see here, and that's a note directly to them. Kind of cool, kind of hard for people not to see that. There's still the value of a book and the author being recognized as someone who's credible on a particular topic. Now, once again, what's important is it has to look good, right? If you have blatant spelling in other areas, you're now hurting your credibility, so much so you may completely put yourself out of the running. And so it has to look good, has to be done elegantly, and it has to do in such a way where when you're sending it to somebody, you're doing, for me, I actually get people send me books, no handwritten note. I don't know who it's from, although I could, if I had a conversation with the author, I know. There's no pointer of what I should look at that's relevant for me. They're just sort of taking a book, throwing it in an envelope and sending it to me, and that's great. That's just one more paperweight that's on my desk. And if there was something I needed to see or something that was important, or if we had a valued relationship, there should be a note in there. Mitchell, thanks for your time. It was great. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your support. Take a look at page 55. It's absolutely something that you and I talked about. Like, it's about creating and having a relationship. So, is a book a way, and how do you use a book to establish credibility? Well, you want to make sure it's on your website. You got to make sure it's in the footer of your emails. You want to hand them to every prospect possible. It's not about selling books. It's about giving them to as many people as you possibly can. And having a book, having an asset that addresses your CPoP, addresses how that customer point of pain you solve for others, will give you that credibility in such a way. And probably the most important thing that books do is you get invited to the table to have the conversation. Most likely the book is not going to close the deal. For some authors it has, but what the book will do is the book will open the door so that you can go in and close the deal. one of the real benefits of reaching out in today's world is to reach out in such a way where it looks like it's personalized, that you've actually researched the person you're interacting with, A, and B, having a book where you could actually say, I've looked at your profile and I have a book and here's an excerpt from the book and I think this is very specific to you. Or if you have a particular quote or an aha message, listen, based on who you are, aha number 55 from the book is really powerful. Take a look and let's talk about it. And what you want to be able to do is use that asset as a way to open up a door. Thanks so much. Enjoy. Take care. Bye.